Hey, this is like a live recording, like all recordings. I'm actually like out in society for this episode. I just feel like this is something I could do while I'm out with my dog. There she is. Are you serious? Stell, say hi. Hey, come on, man. You following me? Hey. Anyway, I just wanted to do like a quick episode um, of my uber popular YouTube discussion series on baseball. Because the fans demand it. And I'm an entertainer. I don't leave people wanting. So I'm going to do a quick episode right here on Shohei Ohtani because I have some thoughts. And I think it's actually a really, really interesting situation because you have this phenom talent come over, advertised as a two-way player whose offensive stats were impressive in Japan. I mean, I'm not a scout, obviously. I don't live the glamorous life of MLB or minor league scout or a Japanese league scout, you know. But I do look at when I'm looking at a guy coming over from Japan and I'm looking at his numbers. I feel like if a starting pitcher has a WHIP under 1 and a hitter has an OPS over 1,000, it's a pretty good barometer. And it's very simple for like any baseball fan to understand, but it's you're dominating the competition when you break those barriers. And you look back on like Hideki Matsui, he had OPSs over 1,000, and when I'm combing, pitchers coming back from Japan who like went there, like Miles Mikolas or like Colby Lewis or guys who are Japanese and they're making the transition to MLB. That whether or not you're dominating the competition in Japan might be an indicator that you might be able to do the same here or be successful. Um, you know, Japanese players coming over, the track records are really, really interesting. I mean, it's interesting enough when a guy comes over from Japan to play in the show, because it's not something that happened for a very, very long time. If I would have done more research for these things, I mean, the first Japanese player played for San Francisco Giants in the 50s. I'm like blanking on his name. I apologize for that. But for a very long, long time, it's something that just didn't happen. So, like, and then when you look at the career arcs of some of these guys, like coming over, like, there's like in the case of Hideo Nomo, it's like an instant flash of brilliance. He's awesome. Like, and then he kind of struggled for a few years, and in that offensive environment was still like a pretty good pitcher, and then he like really bounced back, first with the Red Sox in 2001, and then he ended up having, I think, 3 more really, really solid years for the Dodgers. He went back to the Dodgers. So like that's like a very interesting career arc to follow. And Daisuke Matsuzaka had, again, like an immediate success, hurt his arm, never really made it back as a consistent starter. Tanaka had an arm injury after being fantastic, and in 2015 and 2016 was, one of the top pitchers in the American League, and he struggled a little bit last year, giving up home runs, hanging a slider, but prognosis on him, as long as he's healthy, is he should be a top flight starter. So, you get as much variety in the career arcs as you would with like any type of player, but like add on the fact that like these guys are making such a challenging cultural leap and professional leap. They're facing, I mean, I think, Japanese ball is like probably, oh man, I think it's a blanket statement to compare it to AAA because it's a professional league. But in terms of like the quality of the talent, I think probably like the best Japanese league team in like a 7-game series against a really good to great major league team could probably be really, really competitive. If you're putting like the top team in the league out there. So hold on a second. Still, don't wander. Okay, come on. Let's keep going. Beautiful day, man. And today actually, you with me? Hey, okay. Today actually started as not. It was really shitty out. Turned into a really nice day. It's the joy of daylight savings being over. Days that actually have like segments. So, Now, what I feel like is interesting about Stella. Okay, good. I got her. It's a lovely day, man. It really is. Turning today, it's crisp, 50 degrees or so, but really nice. Sun's out, man. Gorgeous sun setting. Like it. Come on, bud. All right. So what I feel is very interesting about the situation right now is like you're dealing with the potentiality. Although a guy like Nomo and like Tanaka, although he hasn't been as inconsistent as Nomo, obviously, and they're very different pitchers, but like they kind of came in and made an immediate impact. The different thing with Ohtani is that he's 23, so that's what I find fascinating about this is that there might need to be development, and you're talking about the development of a two-way player, which is really really complicated. Like how are the Angels going to navigate that? Like, are they going to have him focus exclusively on pitching if he's like struggling as a pitcher and kind of abandon hitting, or are they going to continue to try to develop him as a two-way player if he's not a finished product, which the numbers actually indicated that he was, and that he was going to come in and like burst onto the scene. But as we've seen in spring training, he's struggling a little bit. He's hung some breaking balls. His last outing, he struggled commanding the ball. And actually, it actually reminded me of when Contreras came over and the Yankee, he was really, really struggling with his control. And it was like surprising because this was like arguably the best starting pitcher in the history of the Cuban League. And it wasn't supposed to be a situation where, like, oh, you gotta like mess with Jose Contreras' mechanics. Like, no one was expecting that coming in. So you get thrown like a curveball, and like that's what I'm fascinated by. This guy might turn into the player he, was like advertised as being like immediately, like a hitter who can have like an 850 OPS, and a starting pitcher who can have like a whip of like 1.1 and be like a number one or number two starter. But it might take a little time or not. But like that's the thing. Like if there needs to be development, how are the Angels going to do that? I would probably argue that like being in the minors would probably suit him well to get his feet under. But that's only if he struggles. So I think overreacting to spring training can be a fool's errand, especially when this guy is dealing with so much adjustment, different, obviously in America, and like working with a different baseball and everything like that. But let's say hypothetically he gets off to a slow start. Like, how are they going to handle that if he goes down to the minor leagues? Do they drop hitting, or like what's the deal? Or here's another interesting thing. What if he gets off to like a really really good start offensively and is struggling on the mound? Like what about that? Or conversely, what if he's like awful at the plate when he's DHing early in the season and he's off to a great start on the mound? I think then obviously he's probably going to be like a pinch hitter. But like it seems like a really everything about this guy's like journey in his rookie year and figuring out what he's going to do, how the Angels like handle his development, it's like really delicate and complicated. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to that was like a threat. I'm not entirely looking at where I have the camera right now, but that's like what I'm saying. Like, it's just really really interesting. It's a unique situation, and I can't even really predict what's gonna happen, because I have watched him. He's broken off some really nasty sliders, and he has a big fastball, but it looks a little straight. It doesn't look like it has like a ton of spin, and getting swings and misses on the slider and throwing his breaking ball for strike is probably going to be really really important. And we just don't know what the hell is going to happen. Like, it's interesting enough, for this dude to be a pitcher, but then when you throw the offense in the mix too, and being an offensive player, it's fascinating, and I can't even really predict it. But I just wanted to talk about it a little bit on this lovely day in the park with my dog. Yeah, man, really cool, really nice out. So yeah, that's another episode of 363. And what the hell would I do? I guess that's like how you kind of got it. I think I kind of outlined it. If he is struggling as a starting pitcher early, and is really, really like looks like he needs to go down to the minors, then they should send him down. Here's an interesting thought though that I thought of like when he was a free agent, and I think even before it was officially announced that he was gonna come over, I thought it would have been really cool if this guy would have been a reliever, at least as a rookie, where you use them even in that kind of super reliever mode of like the uber swingman who pitches at the end of the game, and like maybe you use them like twice a week for 3 innings at a time, or once a week for like 4 innings, to like be like a crazy like closer throwing nasty shit, and the rest of the time he's a position player. But what would have been really dope is if he had gone to a National League team and like been like a left fielder and then like closed out, come on buddy, closed out a game where he had hit a 3-run homer in like the 2nd inning. I thought that would have been really cool, because like a reliever is the closest pitcher in the pitching tree, if you will. Like the reliever branch is like the closest to the everyday player. So I thought it would have been interesting to kind of meld those two and kind of maybe almost create like a new position of like DH/reliever. That could have been pretty dope, but it didn't happen. Doesn't look like it will happen. So anyway, thanks for listening. Catch you next time.